All right, welcome back, scientists. Today we're going to do another quick and easy science experiment that is great for summertime because once we set this up, we're going to set it out in the sun. You're going to need some rubbing alcohol, some turmeric, a couple measuring cups. So you'll need a half cup, a tablespoon, and then just like a bowl to mix everything into. This should be pretty quick to set up. So first we're going to measure half a cup of rubbing alcohol. Mine is 91%, but you can use whatever you have. 70% is just fine. Turmeric does not dissolve very well in water, so you really do want the rubbing alcohol, and that all has to do with hydrophobic and hydrophilic molecules, which I'll save for a different video. And we'll get a tablespoon of turmeric, doesn't have to be exact. All right, so we'll mix this in, and then be aware turmeric does stain. So you're not gonna wanna put this in any dishes that stain easily, or be careful of doing this on carpets, that kind of thing. And then next we're going to just give it a good stir, mix it all up. You can see the yellow color already forming on the bowl. This really does stain things. Okay, and now that it's all mixed up, sometimes it can have like a gritty kind of texture. I don't know how easily you can see that on the camera, but it can have a gritty texture. So if you want to filter it, you can just through like cheesecloth or something like that. Personally, I think that is more mess than it's worth. So I'm just going to use it as is. And I have, whoops, staining my cutting board there. So I have just a piece of watercolor paper. This was like from a notepad that I got at Dollar Tree. You're gonna want just like a thicker kind of paper though, because this is really thick. And then you're just going to paint this on. And the gritty particles really aren't making too much of an impact here. So yeah, we'll just paint it on like that. And now you can see, well, maybe if I can get it up here. And now you can see that the paper is just like nice and yellow, just very vibrant. It's hard to see the color here. Just a very vibrant yellow. And we're gonna let that dry in a somewhat dark place. It doesn't necessarily have to be pitch dark, but you're gonna definitely want it like out of direct sunlight, away from windows, that kind of thing. And we'll come back to it in just a minute and do something really cool with it outside. Okay, we're back. I think that this has had time to dry. I just sort of covered it with a box. So now the other things that you're gonna need are, you can see it totally stained the cutting board. So like I said, it's gonna stain. Some other things you're gonna need are what you're going to create your pattern with. So this could be cut out pieces of paper. In keeping with the summer theme, I'm actually gonna use some stuff I just picked from my garden. And then you could either put a piece of glass on top, like from a picture frame, or I like to use these like paper protectors that you get for binders. I just find that it kind of is cheaper and easier to find than like a piece of glass. But that just makes sure that things stay put after you place them, so that when it's sitting out in the sun to change color, it's not blowing away and changing the images and stuff. So I'm going to slide that in there, and then I'm going to try to kind of position things where I think that they would look nice. And this is where art and science can kind of come together. Okay, and then we're gonna go put it outside. Okay, and now I just have it sitting outside in the sun. with this to sort of protect it from the wind. And then I actually put it even in another box because it's pretty windy out here today. So hopefully it won't blow away. And I will come back and check on it in an hour or so and see how it's looking. Well, shoot, it rained, so we'll see how this kind of turned out. Got kind of wet. I don't know if I should try to let it dry out or just see what it looks like. Let's see. Yeah. As you can see, it's definitely changed, but I feel like probably use a little bit longer, although it's all wet inside, so I'm afraid it's going to get kind of gross. Let's see here. I have half a cup of warm water there, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of baking soda. And stir this all together. Okay, and then I'm going to transfer it into a spray bottle. So I actually have like a funnel with a coffee filter in it just to get out any of the particulates, which it doesn't actually look like there are any. This dissolved pretty darn well. So I'll take the funnel by itself. Oops. Okay. So we're kind of doing two scientific experiments in one here. Let's start with the molecule curcumin, which is what gives turmeric its bright yellow color. That molecule just underwent photodegradation, which means the UV rays that have high energy, enough energy to break apart some of the bonds in the curcumin molecule, convert it into a different shape that reflects light differently, and so it's no longer reflecting the yellow wavelength of light, and it appears more white, which is why our paper turned white, except for the parts that weren't exposed to that high radiation were still yellow. Now, the second part of this experiment is when we dissolve baking soda into water, it turns that water alkaline. It raises the pH and it becomes a base. And when a base interacts with curcumin, it also changes the orientation of the atoms that are in that molecule so that it reflects light in a different way. And it reflects light such that it gives off an orangish red tint. It reflects those wavelengths of light. And so you can see here when we spray the baking soda onto our paper, it goes from this yellow to an orange to a darker red color. And these are just a couple ways that you can do some fun science with turmeric. You can either use it as an acid-base indicator, or you can make fun sun prints with it, or you could do both like we did. I hope that you get to try it at home, and until next time, keep discovering.